You'll do the send off. That's fine. That's great. Good. All right. I'm going to invite everybody back in for a quick debrief of our meeting, and we'll get you all set to go explore Idaho Falls this afternoon after this last quick session. All right. I see. We'll just go ahead and launch into this so we can wrap up today. I want to thank everybody for your participation, for making your way to Idaho Falls. As pointed out yesterday, there are many different kinds of communities that are involved in nuclear. And Congressman Simpson, I think, made the point that we're all part of nuclear now. And with the kind of enthusiasm and progress that's being made, it sets up a dynamic that hasn't been around for many, many years in the nuclear space. And it just shows the kind of progress that's underway and the types of opportunities that we have ahead of us. And I wanted to make a few observations just over the last 3 days that we've been here and what we've been able to accomplish in both the Energy Communities Alliance New Nuclear Forum, but also the regional workforce meeting that we held before the forum started. And, I think when we realized that as many as half of the attendees for the forum registered for the pre-briefings, the Nuclear 101 and our Ask the Experts, we realized that there is so much value in these face-to-face meetings. And so I'm really glad to see that, and the feedback that we've been getting from you over the last couple of days, we really appreciate it, for better or for worse. There are always things we can improve. We want to keep that feedback from you coming in terms of how we've organized things, how things are coming together. For those of you who have been here for the 4 forums over the years, you know that we've learned things every time, and they've improved, and they will continue to improve. So we're looking forward to having our 5th new nuclear forum next year, and we'll be sending out more information about that as we pull together those details. But it's been a learning experience, I think, for all of us, and we want to continue to keep that peer-to-peer exchange as part of the ethos of ECA. It's been here for 30 years, but we're all learning new things. And as we are looking ahead and finding all of the new applications for nuclear science and technology, we're going to continue to do that. So I want to bring attention to the report that we recently published on the atomic age to new nuclear. It's Energy Communities Ready to Help Unleash Nuclear Power. If you haven't looked at this report yet, it's available on our website. It's in your bulletin. And it really captures on a state-by-state basis all of the great work that you've heard about. I know that this agenda has a lot of information coming at you in a short amount of time. That report helps capture a lot of the details, and we look forward to updating it and reissuing it as these projects continue to evolve. So that's something that you have as a resource going forward from today as you report back to your colleagues at home. We also have planned on April 30th at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which I think would be 2 o'clock here. We'll have information coming out on a webinar on the data center opportunity that you heard about yesterday. So we're going to do a deeper dive with DOE and start to look at that data center opportunity that's evolving and the nuclear power opportunities that are adjacent to that. So how to develop a data center energy project on DOE and federal land, that will be coming up at the end of April. So we will be continuing to add these types of webinar content over the next few months and upcoming weeks. If you have ideas or interest in topics, please give us a call or an email to let us know. I think we want to be able to punctuate the face-to-face opportunities with ongoing education and opportunities to network, and so we'll continue to do that. We've heard a lot over the last 2 days about the federal momentum that's really being aligned with local ambition. And that open for business moniker is something that we really can deliver on. It's not easy to open a new business, and it takes a lot more than just putting out the sign. And I think it's been great to hear some of the opportunities to talk more about issues around zoning, around siting, around transactions. and look ahead at how we can bring more of that type of information into this community for those future conversations. The authenticity of the conversations here is something that, for me, after being in the nuclear energy sector for 20 years, is so fantastic. And we've heard about authenticity in a lot of the sessions, but more importantly, we've seen it in the hallways, during the meals, in the conversations that we're having. And we see that authenticity really reflected in the fact that we have a set of shared goals around this. As the industry starts to come into focus, we recognize the things we need to take care of: the regulation, the financing, the different structures to reduce risk of these projects, to make these deployments really a reality. And so if past is prologue, I think we've learned a lot, and we'll continue to share those lessons and develop this community and the resources available to it to make these things a reality. And so for those of you who are going on the tour tomorrow, I think you'll get a great opportunity to see some of what Everett Redmond had previewed from Oklo and the history of the industry out at the site, the work that's been done to bring us to where we are today, and to forecast where we're going and some of the future projects that are in play here in Idaho, but also all around the country. You'll see things in Idaho that you'll see play out at other locations around the country as new technology comes to the foreground. For those who are going on the tour tomorrow, the meeting place is the INL Meeting Center. For those of you who were here on Tuesday, that's where we had the workforce session. The INL Meeting Center is here in town. Meet there at 7:30 in the morning, and we'll be out on the site later in the day, and so that'll be a full-day tour. If for some reason you didn't sign up in time and weren't able to get into the INL tour, I wanted to point out Mary Lou Gallagher here in the back has generously offered from Idaho State University, if you want to take a local tour of some of the nuclear facilities that are here, she is willing to host people in her facility at ISU, and so you can still get some nice exposure, if you will, to the type of equipment that's being used to advance nuclear science. Thank you so much, Mary Lou, for that. That's great. Stay tuned. There are expressions of interest coming up. We've got data centers coming up. It's been a really great 3 days here in Idaho Falls. We want to make sure you have time to enjoy it in the afternoon. We could not have made this possible without Rebecca Casper and the city of Idaho Falls and all of the great work that her team, I don't know if Catherine is still here, but you guys have just been incredible in helping us really get around. Thank you so much. It's been a real honor for me to become part of the ECA team, and it's been really even more impressive to see from the inside how the organization really works through the volunteer leadership of the elected officials who make up its board and its membership. So this is really, these things are put together for you, by you. And us ECA staff are merely facilitators to kind of hold it together around the edges. But I want to thank you, and I want Mayor Casper to come up here and offer her remarks on the proceedings over the last three days, because I think, again, Idaho has always and will remain a really important player, but so many of the communities ahead, more and more of us will be able to say that we are involved in the nuclear community, and it will be a really great way to show that we're not only open for business, but that we're doing some. So, Mayor Casper.
Thank you, Laura. I did not think to take notes out of each and every one of the sessions and then turn around and sort of create that list of bullet point takeaways that we should have or that we might want to consider from those meetings. But before I just launch into some thoughts, I wanted to just see if there are any in the room, just kind of a sweep of the room. Is there anyone who has a burning takeaway or was really impressed by a particular comment or teaching or something that you learned while you were here? Is there anything, we're just all friends and the room is rather smaller now, and so we can talk freely. Yes, Chuck.
Rebecca, one of the biggest takeaways is by being involved for the last 4 forums, I missed last year because of work-related issues, but being in Salt Lake City and listening to where you and Tara were the big driving factors behind that, but just the process and the people we had there, the information that we were passing out and just having good communication on, it's exponentially changed over the last 4 forums. The amount of people that are involved, the spectrum of people in all the different organizations, whether they're vendors, they're suppliers, the NRC, regulatorial, the whole gamut has changed. And it's just going to get increasingly more, I won't say complicated, but very much more diverse in that as we continue to pursue new nuclear initiatives. It's been a real honor to watch that and to see the development of that over the last 4 years.
I think what you are seeing and describing in very careful, good words here, we're riding the crest of a wave. We caught this at the right time. This is all very relevant, and that's why it's constantly changing, because there is this growth. Any other observations or takeaways? Mayor Gary.
Thank you, Mayor Casper. Appreciate your host this week. It's beautiful. Some great design and construction going on in your city, and I'll take a little bit of back to West Richland. I wasn't able to make the first nuclear forum in Salt Lake City that you and Kara kicked off with much success, and it's morphed into what we have right here. It's fantastic. Just from last year to this year, last year I didn't hear anything and talk about data centers. And today, all week, data centers. I think it'd be beneficial for us to reach out to that particular industry and invite them to the conversation. That's where the networking and the partnerships are made, just as you said, out in the hall, at lunches and things like that. So something to take away.
Very good. Yeah, agenda items for next year. Stefan.
I don't want Rob Corbin from Sabi and their data centers to go unnoticed because he's still here. So we got one. They're getting interested too.
Stefan, in the middle there.
Yeah, just to follow up on what Mayor Gary just said, and this is the greatest open question I come away with from this forum. I saw the pace of increase in electricity demand that is projected specifically for data centers, but then also all the other stuff, electric vehicles and so on. And we saw presentations of the first SMR types being licensed, constructed, and great to have projections that by the end of the decade, some of them will start operating. There's a huge gap of what I observe in potential electricity offered from this and potential demand.
Thank you.
It seems like suddenly there's a pressure here. How can we speed up?
Well, key questions. Something that caught me, and I bet my good friend Jim Francis, a city councilor here in Idaho Falls, I bet this wasn't lost on you either, but the power of words. Listening to Chairman Wright talk about the changes in their mission statement magically somehow made them more responsive. Wow. Who knew that all you had to do was have a really good mission statement? But anyway, I'm not trying to make light of that. But wow, that was interesting to me. So, any other takeaways? Well, then let me just share a few thoughts and comments. And if you have any other takeaways, we'll try this one more time. But the first thing I want to do is just express some gratitude, as we always do, the obligatory but heartfelt. Thank you to ECA staff. Incredible. Small group. 4 people plus a contractor or something along those lines, and incredibly efficient and innovative. DOE provided as much support as they possibly could, and they helped to encourage these conversations. They never discouraged them. The various sponsors that we have, they're listed on banners throughout. None of this would be happening if we didn't have generous support from those corporate sponsors that make all the difference, whether it's the beverages, the food, the snacks, or just the room itself, our badges, all the things we have to pay for and buy. So thank you to our sponsors. I also just want to tell you that it has been an honor to be able to host this conversation because it's an important one. I get a little emotional about this because I care so deeply about what we're about. And I express my gratitude to all of you who traveled. Idaho Falls is not an easy place to get to, although we're trying to make it as easy as we possibly can. It's a quick flight from some big cities now. We're adding air service all the time. We get nonstop to Chicago coming, in the summer, or in the fall, whenever it is. But I want to also express gratitude to all of those of you who are conveners, people who convene conversations, whether it's ECA or any of the other groups that we've learned about, nonprofit or NGOs or IGOs, whatever it is that you're involved in. Thank you. Those conversations matter so much, and there's so much energy coming across as we hear from the people we learn from. I'm glad you could come to Idaho to see our site and to hear from some of the professionals at the laboratory and with the cleanup project and with, we didn't hear any naval reactors, folks, but there's a lot of expertise here, and you guys got a little taste of it. You'll get more tomorrow on the tour if you are going. The expertise that we have here spans, it's deep. It spans generations. I was just talking to Mr. Fogarty out there, but there you are, who his father has an incredible legacy of involvement going back to Rickover and such with the site here. We have so many people, not just Mr. Fogarty in the room even, who could say, well, yeah, my mom or my dad worked at the site. And so we have this embedded that not everybody else is going to have that in their community, but it's valuable here. So thank you for coming here and tasting that. I'm going to mention a few things that you've already heard, but I'm going to underscore them. Idaho was the first use of nuclear technology to produce electricity to light a light bulb. You may even see that. I didn't pay attention to our itinerary for the tour tomorrow, but we may even see that, the place where that happened. Idaho was, it was here that the research that modeled or proved atoms for peace happened here, we learned on Tuesday, before Eisenhower made the speech. They lit streets in Arco. The lighting of the streets in Arco, they celebrate that. We were the first to have our city lit by power, nuclear power, or atomic power, they say. But that was what actually gave Eisenhower his ability to talk about atoms for peace. That happened here. Long before INL was designated as the U.S. DOE lead lab for nuclear research, we were pioneering advancements, as mentioned. 52 reactors were built here in this state, all in the name of research. No other state can say they built 52 reactors. Birthplace and childhood, I will say, of the U.S. nuclear Navy, which now other countries have that capacity, but there we go. This is where nuclear in space is happening, and it has happened. This is where we test and demonstrate the whole next generation of SMRs, microreactors, mini reactors, all of those things. We make everybody else's tomorrow possible here in Idaho. So I'm bragging, right? I'm saying Idaho's so great. This is yes, it's an Idaho legacy. A little bit proud of it, even though I had nothing to do with it. But it's also, and forgive me to my international friends, but this is also an American legacy. We can all claim it and share it if you're from this country, from this land, first Americans. We can claim that some really wonderful advances in clean, or I should say, non-carbon emitting power have happened in this space that we're a part of. So that's something that we can take away. I wanted to just point out, too, that we learned that the nation's only nuclear tech hub is here and in a partnership with Wyoming, and we're also in partnership with Utah, in partnership with Washington. There's partnershiping going on for that tech hub, and if that is the nation's lead tech hub for nuclear, then guess what? All the things that they're working on, workforce, supply chain, those should all be fed by all of our challenges and concerns, and then their output should solve some of our problems. So if you ever are touched by or someone reaches out to you and wants you to help participate in a Tech Hub survey question or opportunity, help, because it will turn around and help everybody, or at least it should. Anyway, those of you who didn't know ECA before you got here, I'm glad you had a chance to learn about ECA. We are local officials who care. And that if you're fitting that category or you know some local officials who do, tell them about this meeting and help them to get here. Not because I want their, or not because ECA needs the registration money from a conference. It's because we need the momentum that would come from having more and more locals helping to carry the flag and to lead the parade, and not just watch it go by. So the bottom line is that now is a wonderful time for nuclear. Just last week, we heard Gallup, anyway, let me read it here. They released a news story that said, American support for the use of nuclear energy as an electricity source in the U.S. has risen 6 percentage points to 61% since Gallup's last measurement in 2023. So just in 2 years, we've seen a 6-point jump. That's that 61%. If you're talking an election, it's really good number. It's not quite 2/3. It might seem like just a little more than a majority, but it's a good, solid number, and we can build on that, and we will build on that with our successes. But it means that now is the time for us, and I'm talking to the local officials in particular, or anybody else who's mission-minded here. Now is the time for our efforts between now and maybe the next forum, the 2026 forum. Our efforts are going to be pivotal. We've got to take the inspiration from this moment and let it carry us through. Now is the time to push for policy change at the state, local, and federal level. Now is the time to educate our citizens. Now is the time for sharing with our congressional leaders how much we don't want them to cut employees from the NRC. That letter that Councilor Francis is going to write, many of us should be writing that same letter. Now is the time for us to be teaching industry, DOE, regulators, utilities, venture capitalists, and other investors how interested, how willing, how serious, how available, and how capable we are as local municipal governments to be able to host and facilitate what needs to happen in order to have new build, storage, manufacturing, all of those things that need to happen. Now is the time. And that momentum, we've got a 5, 10, 15-year horizon for some of the projects. We need momentum. So let's generate it now with our actions. If you still have questions that we didn't answer, tell us so that we can make sure that next year's forum is better, that it meets more needs. I know I'm preaching, so I'm done. But thank you. I'm so energized and excited. I want to tell you that this afternoon, if you're from Idaho Falls, raise your hand. Okay, it's got some council members, some DOE or INL employees and such. These are the folks you want to talk to if you've got plans this afternoon and you want to double check and make sure you like your plans, or if you don't have plans and you want some ideas. These are the folks to talk to. Secondly, the tour tomorrow, unless you have, what's the word I'm looking for, made a different arrangement, you're committed. You get on the bus and you're not done until the bus comes back to town. You can't just step off and come back to, because there's no ride. We're going out to the desert site. So you are committed if you're going once you get on the bus, but it's worth your time. Thirdly, ECA members and global partnership members, we're gonna try and take a photo, that same area in the back of the room right when we're done here. And lastly, I will tell you that the cookies from last night's reception, I brought back 2 trays of them. And I turned them over to the food people, and they were confused by where did those come from. So they didn't understand what I was doing. I told them a second time, so hopefully there'll be cookies out there, and if you want some, take 5. But if they're not there, give me a minute, and I'll go make sure they're there. But those were good cookies. Anybody else have any last thoughts, comments?
What about the potato?
I thought it would be cliche to give you a potato bar for lunch, but what about the potato?
The congressman touted the Idaho potato. That's the one thing you left out.
Sorry, potatoes, nuclear, whatever. Any other comments? Anything else? Laura, Seth?
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Enjoy your
We love
afternoon
you.
in Idaho Falls.